everyone, and welcome on back to my channel. Today is a little bit different because I have been having some health issues and I've been struggling to get videos out, and I thought I would just give you all an update about where I'm at right now, where the channel is at right now, what kind of videos I'm hoping to eventually get to you as soon as my body lets me just exist. It'd be nice. Anyway. But I also wanted to let you know some of the other things that I've been working on, so let's talk about some stuff. As I've said in my videos before, I am chronically ill and disabled. I actually have 4 different chronic illnesses that have currently been diagnosed, but there are also other really debilitating symptoms that are not caused by any of those and could actually be a 5th chronic illness or condition or something. So that's fun. Anyway, the point is that my body has trouble functioning. You may hear people with chronic illnesses talk about having a flare or being in a flare. I've actually been in a flare since just before Christmas, so it's been about 8 weeks. Which you might be saying, ArchaeoPlays, that's not really a flare then, is it? In all honesty, I don't know, but I'm continuing to call it a flare. Anyway, what do we mean by a flare? When someone who is chronically ill says that they have a flare, what they mean is that the symptoms of their chronic illness that they experience on a daily basis are significantly worse than they usually are, and that some symptoms that maybe they only experience on occasion have also decided to join the party. And just to be clear, having a flare is not the same as like having the flu to a non-chronically ill person. In fact, there aren't really any fair comparisons to make between the two. This is really something that those with chronic conditions experience that is not necessarily something those without chronic illnesses or conditions can really understand in that way. Depending on your situation, a flare can involve a serious amount of pain, it can involve a lot of brain fog, there might be nausea or loss of appetite or mobility issues, and then there are also side effects from all of the medications that you need to take to mitigate the original symptoms. So there's a lot going on. My chronic illnesses are all centered in my lower abdomen. I have endometriosis, adenomyosis, polycystic ovary syndrome, and interstitial cystitis. Woo! I'm not gonna go into what all of those are, but if you're curious or if you maybe are suffering from one or more of them yourself, I've put links to some reputable sources for each one down in the description below, so if you want to look that up yourself, you're more than welcome to. All 4 of these illnesses, along with those undiagnosed issues I mentioned earlier, are centered in the lower abdomen, as I said, which means that they affect every single organ and organ system that has anything to do with that area of the body, which is pretty much all of them. It's a fun time, really. So basically, on a daily basis, I have a large amount of pain, loss of appetite, nausea, indigestion, breathing problems, sleeping problems, and I also get migraines, which leads to a lot of disorientation, dissociation, and dizziness. I also get a lot of brain fog, which is basically when your brain forgets what's happening and really struggles to process anything. Brain fog isn't just walking into a room and forgetting what you came in here for, although that's certainly part of it. It's also hearing your partner ask a question and not being able to understand the question, not being able to process the question, and not being able to form any kind of answer. You may have noticed something like this in older friends or relatives where it takes them a bit to understand what's going on or to answer a question. Brain fog is also getting halfway through a sentence and not just forgetting what you were saying, but forgetting the entire topic of conversation. In fact, the other day, my cousin was asking me about my symptoms during a flare, and I was in the process of typing a reply when I completely forgot what they were asking and what I was typing. It was a beautifully poetic moment. It was like, what are your symptoms during a flare? Just completely in the middle of it. One of those symptoms was just like, here I am. Anyway. So for me, during a flare, all of those symptoms I mentioned before get significantly worse. I have a lot more pain, a lot less appetite, a lot more digestive nonsense and migraines and difficulty sleeping and brain fog. And another factor in all of this is that my videos have a lot of research behind them. I designed them that way and I want to keep them that way. It's not a flaw, but because they have a lot of research behind them, I spend a lot of time making sure what I'm saying in my videos is correct and accurate. I don't want to sit here giving you false information. That doesn't work. That doesn't make any sense. But the other thing I want to do is make sure that whatever I'm saying makes sense to you. If I'm halfway through a sentence and I don't remember what I'm saying, that's a problem. I also lose track of what I'm doing in a game or what I'm trying to show you, and if I'm in a flare, I'm honestly probably not all that enthusiastic about what I'm doing because I'm in pain or I'm exhausted or something. So usually during bad flare days, I just don't work on the channel and I save that work for a day when I'm feeling a bit better. As I've said before, I've been in a flare since before Christmas, but I've been able to manage it well enough that I've been able to get at least one video out each week despite needing time to rest. The last 2 weeks have been so bad that I sit down at my computer and 10 minutes later, I need to go lie down. Just this update video took me 4 days to make, and there is not much to this video. Now, before I go any further, I do want to just say, please don't worry about my health. I have been talking to my GP. I talk to them every other week or so. We are working on those things, but that's why I haven't been uploading videos. I'm hoping that this will pass soon. I am still slowly working on the next episode for my Archaeologist Guide series. I'm really excited about it. It's all about trade and exchange, but I am having to work on it in fits and starts just because looking after my own health is really important to me, and obviously, if I don't do that, then there are even fewer videos that I get out to you guys, right? We want to keep the health situation relatively under control. So the way that I do that is by taking breaks when my body tells me I need to. So that's all the difficult stuff out of the way. Let's talk about something a bit more positive, shall we? There are 2 big things that I have been working on behind the scenes that I am really excited to share with you all. The first is that I have reinstated my blog. The blog is also called ArchaeoPlays, and it's not just about video games. It's about board games, tabletop RPGs, and video games, and again, approaching them from an archaeological perspective. I have a series on there, for example, where I compare tabletop RPG versions of something like elves or wizards familiars or something to the actual folklore behind those things. Then we talk about what the similarities are, what the differences are, and where those differences might have come from. I also talk about board games, both board games in archaeology, how board games might survive in archaeology, and I also review some board games from an archaeologist perspective. And the thing that I've started doing recently is creating blog posts for some of my videos. So for example, the Nazca Lines video that I released a couple weeks ago, I also have a blog post talking about the process of figuring out how to do that in Minecraft, because it is not a simple thing to do. I've also been turning my Archaeologist's Guide episodes into almost a solo RPG journaling experiment where I write diary entries or logs from the perspective of the character I'm playing within that world. So if any of that sounds like something that's of interest to you, go ahead and check out the blog. The link is in the description down below. The second major project that I've been working on is my Ko-fi page. And this, just FYI, this is not me saying that you need to go over there and support me monetarily. You're absolutely welcome to, and this channel is nowhere near monetized yet, so if you want to do that, Ko-fi is the place to do it, but absolutely don't feel obligated. I'm just really excited about the Ko-fi page. I have spent a lot of time setting up my Ko-fi page to be a place where people who want to can get updates and be a part of this community and access some membership rewards if you'd like. One benefit is getting access to the schematics for all of the archaeological sites I've built in my Minecraft archaeology series. So if you're a Minecraft nerd like me and you'd like to build those sites in your own world, that's something you can do. If you're not a Minecraft nerd like me, but you're an archaeology nerd like me, another reward is getting a digital site report for every archaeological site I've ever talked about in the Minecraft archaeology series. These site reports contain a bit more information about each site that's super interesting, but that I couldn't fit into the video for that site. And the final thing on Ko-fi that everyone can access is my merch store. I actually have merch. Again, no obligation in the slightest here, really. I'm just happy it exists. I have gotten samples of this merch. It is cozy. I like it a lot. I'm also actually wearing it right now, so you know it's cozy. So if you are interested in some merch, some OG merch, OG ArchaeoPlays merch, head on over to Ko-fi as well. And the final perk that supporters on Ko-fi get, and this is for people who are in the membership tiers, but also for people who give any one-off donation, is getting credited at the end of my videos. If you become a member, you get credit in all of the videos that come out while you're a member. And if you do a one-off donation, you get credit in the next episode I release. So if any of those things are of interest to you, go ahead and check out the Ko-fi page through the link in the description below. So those are my two big projects. I am hoping to have more videos for you all as soon as I can, along with some more blog posts, but we'll just have to take it easy and work within whatever abilities my health allows at the moment. Also, if you would like to keep up to date with either video releases, blog posts, or my general health stuff, I do post updates on Ko-fi as well as my Twitter account and the ArchaeoPlays Facebook page, so feel free to follow any of those pages to get more updates in the future. Once I have the community tab unlocked on YouTube, I will also post everything here, but for that we do need to get to 500 subs, so it might be a little while before the community tab is available. Anyway, that is the update from me. I suppose if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe down below. I don't know if there's much to talk about, but feel free. I guess that's all from me for today. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!